Today, we're jumping right into a set of really powerful tools from Scripture. Think of it as a spiritual arsenal, designed specifically for what many believers call spiritual warfare. We're going to break down 8 very specific prayers, all pulled directly from the Bible.
For a lot of people, this isn't some abstract, dusty old idea. No, it's a very real thing that they feel impacts their daily lives. So, this gets right to the heart of the matter. When you feel these things, that chaos in your head, a weird sense of confusion that you can't shake, or just hitting a wall over and over again for no good reason, it might be a sign of a spiritual attack. But here's the crucial part. You are not helpless.
Okay, so when you feel that, what do you do? How do you even begin to respond? Well, the key idea here is that it's time to switch up your strategy. It's not about reacting emotionally or trying to muscle through it on your own. It's about using specific weapons that the Bible provides.
And let's be crystal clear on what this shift actually looks like. On one hand, you have our typical human strategies, emotional reactions, just trying harder, which, let's be honest, can feel like you're just fighting in the dark. On the other hand, you have God's strategies, biblical prayers that operate with divine authority. It's a total game changer. All right, let's get into it. The very first weapon in this arsenal is foundational. It goes all the way back to the Garden of Eden to establish a really basic truth about who's actually in charge.
So the thinking here is pretty powerful. The idea is that Satan was already judged and cursed by God right there in the beginning. So this prayer isn't asking for a new judgment. It's asking God to reapply that original final verdict to whatever you're dealing with today.
And this is absolutely crucial. When you pray this, you are not fighting for a victory. You're praying from a victory that, according to Scripture, has already been won. You're basically reminding the enemy of his place.
Okay, so you can see how this is building, right? The next couple of weapons are all about taking proactive control. They're designed to shut down and neutralize the enemy's ability to operate.
Now this is for those moments when the attack is all about words. You know what I mean? Discouraging things people say, your own negative thoughts spiraling, or just a general sense of being lied to or threatened.
It's kind of like when Daniel was in the lion's den, right? He prayed for God to shut the mouths of the lions. This is that same kind of prayer, a direct appeal for God to step in and bring silence where there's been chaos.
Okay, let's get strategic for a second. This third weapon is what you'd call a preparatory move. It comes from Jesus' teaching that you have to tie up the strong man before you can take his stuff. So you use this prayer before you start something important, a big project, an outreach, a major decision. So what the source is saying here is that by praying this first, you're basically clearing the path. It's like you're neutralizing the opposition before the game even starts so that victory can flow a whole lot more easily.
But what happens if you feel like you're already in the thick of it, like the enemy's plan is already in motion and you can see the damage? Well, that's where this next prayer comes in. It's designed to take it all apart, piece by piece. And this is just a brilliant piece of Scripture that backs this whole idea up. See, it's not your idea to destroy the enemy's work. According to this verse, that's the very reason Jesus came. It's God's agenda.
So you can aim this prayer at those really tangible, ongoing issues. That constant tension at home, a sickness that just feels oppressive, or a project at work that keeps failing for no good reason. You can even pray it over your community or your nation.
All right, now we're getting into the heavy hitters. These next prayers tap directly into God's absolute and even terrifying authority over the enemy. These aren't just about resisting, they're about commanding.
And this principle is so powerful. Think about it. Michael, one of the most powerful angels, doesn't even try to fight Satan on his own terms. He just points to a higher authority. And apparently, Satan is terrified of God's rebuke, which the Psalms say can make the very foundations of the earth shake.
So the prayer itself is incredibly simple, but it's packed with power. It's not a conversation or a debate. It's a direct appeal for God to just step in and unleash the full force of his divine authority right now, causing all opposition to just collapse.
Now this next one is really interesting because it deals with those super tricky situations when the negative influence seems to be coming from people you love, family, close friends, people who probably have no idea.
It's so important to get this right. When Jesus said this to Peter, he wasn't pushing Peter away, he was addressing the spirit of distraction that was using Peter's good intentions to try and pull him off course. So this is a prayer to keep your focus sharp, even when your emotions are being manipulated.
Okay, We're at our last two weapons, and these are all about shifting from being reactive to being proactive. First, you've got deliver us from the evil one, straight from the Lord's Prayer, right? This is like your daily spiritual defense shield, meant to stop attacks before they even start. And then, the eighth weapon is all about shaming the devil. This is based on a verse that says God made a public spectacle of the enemy at the cross. So when you pray this, you're literally reminding Satan of his ultimate public humiliation. You're enforcing a victory that's already been won.
So let's pull all of this together. If there's one central message, it's this. As a believer, you are not defenseless, not even close. You have a full arsenal of scriptural authoritative weapons just waiting for you to use them.
And there you have it, all 8 of them. 8 distinct biblical prayers for very specific situations. The big takeaway here is that when you feel an attack coming, the response isn't to panic or be afraid. The response is to pray strategically, using the Word. This is exactly how you walk in victory.
So the main thing to walk away with is that you are fully equipped. The knowledge is here, the tools are available. Which means the only real question left is, which one of these weapons speaks to what you're facing right now, and how are you going to use it today?